So today we are going to talk about lumbopelvic rhythm. By definition, lumbopelvic rhythm is the coordinated movement between the lumbar and the pelvis to bring about a larger range of motion. For example, picking up an object from the ground. This is called lumbopelvic rhythm. It is a simple concept. I will try to explain it to you with the help of a diagram. So in this, the person is standing. Suppose if the person has to touch the ground. So in this, what is happening? The range of motion is shared between the lumbar, hip and thorax. In the example, you have to keep the knee straight, because if you keep the knee bent, it is always easy to touch the ground. But for example, keep it straight. In this example, the hip is moving, the range is actually, hip range is actually 80 degree. This is 45 to 50, imagine 45 and this 45. So almost from here making a U-turn and touching it back. So almost 180 degree the person is able to achieve. And this is not achieved with only lumbar or with only hip or with only thorax. It's a coordinated movement between all the joints to bring up a larger range of motion. So this is called lumbopelvic rhythm. So what happens when this lumbopelvic rhythm is not there? Example. Now take an example where hip range of motion is there, but there is no range of motion of the lumbar, 0 degree. Movement is not happening in the lumbar, so he is not able to touch it. But the hip range is normal. This is a altered lumbopelvic rhythm. And now take one more example. In this, the hip joint is stiff, but excessive movement of lumbar. So hip is 0 degree. Now this becomes excessive. This is also altered lumbopelvic rhythm, where he is not able to touch the ground. So in both the examples, the disadvantage is less range of motion is achieved, and one most important thing is excessive stress on the other joint. Suppose if this is stiff, excessive stress on this. Here this is stiff, excessive stress on the, suppose he has to touch it, there will be excessive stress on the hip. So this results in injury, damage, many other things. So that is why the lumbopelvic rhythm is important. So what are the advantages of lumbopelvic rhythm? More range of motion. You can see more range of motion. Next, stable and less compromised joints. That means what? See, there is no excessive in the altered lumbopelvic rhythm. There is excessive movement of hip here, lumbar. So such thing is not there. The all are in proper position, in proper stable condition, and are less compromised. So this is the advantages of lumbopelvic rhythm. If lumbopelvic rhythm is not there, what will happen? You can see here what will happen. Less range of motion, and then stress on normal joints. Stress on normal joints. See, in this is affected, but so there is excessive stress on lumbar. Here this is affected, so excessive stress on the hip. So this is what happens. So thus resulting in injury. So these two are the advantages of lumbopelvic rhythm. This what happens when there is no lumbopelvic rhythm. So now once you understand this concept, you should know the sequence. Sequence is very important. It just doesn't happen like that. There is a particular sequence of the movement. First we'll take the example of flexion sequence. So flexion sequence, it is also called as open book phenomena. So in this what happens? In this same, the objective is going down. So in this the first step is flexion of lumbar segment. There will be flexion of lumbar segment. Simultaneously there is posterior shift of pelvis. Next what happens? Next there is counter nutation of sacrum. Simultaneously open book of pelvis. Next anterior pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, hip flexion, thus resulting in end position. Of flexion. That means the lumbopelvic rhythm is complete. Now I will try to explain you the same thing. Before knowing, you should know the what is counter nutation of sacrum. See, you know this is sacrum. This is called as nutation. This is called as counter nutation. You will learn more about it in sacroiliac joint biomechanics, but for now you remember nutation, counter nutation. Going front is nutation, going back is counter nutation. So we will go to the lumbopelvic rhythm. I'll take the bone and I'll explain it to you. Yeah, take this. I hope you can see. Yeah. So in a lumbopelvic rhythm is this happens in a sequence. So first thing what is going to happen is first there is a lumbar flexion. There is lumbar flexion. Suppose this person wants to touch the ground. So first what is going to happen is there will be lumbar flexion. After lumbar flexion, not after, simultaneously there is posterior shift of pelvis. Remember, posterior shift of pelvis is not movement, it is a shift, because the person has to maintain line of gravity, otherwise he will fall. Suppose the person bends down without shifting the pelvis, the person will fall down. So to maintain the COG, there is posterior shifting of pelvis. So there is posterior shift of pelvis. It's not a movement. They just shift it to maintain center of gravity and line of gravity. So there is posterior shift of pelvis. So when I'm doing like this, automatically the pelvis goes backwards to maintain COG. After that you have counter nutation of sacrum. So once you have this, there is counter nutation of sacrum. So what is counter nutation of sacrum? This sacrum goes back. Why back? See, when you are flexing, this joint, sacroiliac joint, needs more stable. So this goes backwards to rest on the innominate. So there is counter nutation. Forward is nutation. So there is counter nutation to get it more stable. So there is counter nutation of sacrum. So when there is this sacrum goes back. So imagine these movements are not big. Don't imagine like a very large movement. These are like very minute movements. See, in the sacroiliac joint you will understand it. The movement is 1 mm, 0.5 mm, something like that. So the movements are very less. So when there is counter nutation goes back, so that to get more stable, this comes forward, flexion. So when this comes forward, this becomes open book. So what is open book? This just widens up. This pelvis gets widens up. So this PSIS goes away like this. See, it is coming down. So this will widen up. This is called as open book. So there is open book phenomena here. Next, what happens? Anterior pelvic tilt. Now, after all that, there is anterior pelvic tilt. So once if all this is happening, then you have anterior pelvic tilt. After anterior pelvic tilt, you have the hip flexion. As I said, the hip range of motion is 80 degree, that much. And finally, you have the complete range of motion. This is the flexion lumbopelvic rhythm, also called as also they say it is a open book phenomena. Now same thing reverse happens in extension. Extension, first thing is the hip flexion happens, just exactly reverse what I have showed you here, exactly reverse. So first extension of hip happens, then posterior pelvic tilt, then close book. Now I said open book before, now there is a close book because it is going back. So this close book, so PSIS comes forward, ASIS will widen. See, it is coming like this. So PSIS will widen, ASIS will close. So it is called as close book phenomena. So it will close book phenomena. Here it is counter nutation. So here it will be in extension, it will be nutation. So when it is going back, this sacrum comes front like this, nutation of sacrum, and then finally it is lumbar flexion. So imagine the sequence. Extension sequence, exactly opposite. First hip flexion happens. So here hip, I'm sorry if I have in the previously I have told you hip flexion, not hip flexion, hip extension. So hip extension, and then next step is anterior pelvic tilt. So posterior pelvic tilt, counter nutation, nutation of sacrum, open book. This simultaneously happens, open book, close book phenomena, close book of pelvis, flexion of lumbar, extension of lumbar. I don't remember what I have told when I was holding the bone. If I have told flexion of lumbar, no, it has to be opposite. Extension of lumbar, posterior shift of pelvis, anterior shift of pelvis. This is closed book phenomena. also extension lumbopelvic rhythm. So these two mechanisms happen to bring about a lumbopelvic rhythm. Now this same thing I will explain it to you with the help of a model so that you will understand better. But it is important to understand why this sequence happen. Example, take the example of this. First lumbar flexion happens, nutation, pelvic tilt, hip flexion, young flexion. And going back, exactly opposite. First hip extension happens. Why not lumbar? Because it is in end position. Lumbar is in end position. So there is chances of damage of lumbar is high if the lumbar moves here. So lumbar doesn't move. Only in the starting ranges the lumbar moves. Here also the starting range the lumbar moves. Thus this will protect the lumbar spine. So this is why lumbopelvic rhythm is important. Now we'll explain this with the help of a model. So now let's take a look at the lumbopelvic rhythm on a model in slow motion. Just look at the lumbar spine and the pelvis. Obviously sacrum you will not be able to see, so only the pelvis and lumbar spine as the person goes down to touch the ground. So as per the sequence, remember that first flexion happens in the lumbar and then the pelvis shifts posteriorly and then tilts anteriorly, pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, and then hip flexion to touch the ground. And then in the extension the reverse happens. Hip extension will happen first and then the pelvis shifts anteriorly and then the lumbar will go for extension. That means then the person comes to neutral position. So now let's take a look at the video in slow motion. Now lumbar flexion, pelvis shifted posteriorly, and now anterior pelvic tilt, hip flexion, the person touched the ground. Now reverse, hip extension, anterior pelvic shift, and lumbar extension, neutral position. So this is the lumbopelvic rhythm.